Hi, Taurus. I keep losing my voice, so we're going to do this at a low volume. Okay, here we go. So, most of August has been you being rebellious against this Venus retrograde and not really wanting to play ball with it, not wanting to look at things from the past, not wanting to really deal with people, perhaps lashing out at people, and perhaps maybe in an attempt to not lash out at people, isolating yourself. And unfortunately, the Venus retrograde continues to do this to you until September. And on September 3rd, Venus retrograde will end and you begin to essentially care again. But on August 29th, you have Uranus, which is in your sign, going retrograde. And then on the 4th of September, Jupiter, which is also in your sign, goes retrograde. And then Mercury, which if you're a Taurus rising is the ruler of your house of work, will go retrograde on the 23rd in 2 days, and will go direct on the 15th. So this period coming up for you, the next 30 days or so, is one where your natural instinct is to run horns first and not really care about what the excuses are. You just are fed up. And there is, again, that rebelliousness streak where you feel that you are justified in the way, in your harshness, let's say, because people have just been saying too much or getting in the way too much or playing with you too much, playing in your face, as we would say in New York. So when Venus retrograde ends, one of the ways that you immediately see that you care again is that you are very much vocal. You want to talk about all the things during the retrograde that have annoyed you, all the things that you realized about yourself, all the things you realized about a past connection that for some reason you thought was extremely beneficial and healing and all these things. But upon reflection over this last retrograde, you've realized that actually it was in some ways predatory, even just not nice at all. For some Taurus, this is actually a friendship that they've realized is not what it seems to be. Okay, so mutual trust can be regained between people if there has been some disheartening episode between you and someone. You're not really the type to forgive, but it is possible right now to fix some big intimacy issues, especially when Jupiter goes retrograde on the 4th. I would wait if there's someone you want to speak to or someone you want to forgive or hash things out with. I would wait until the 4th and let yourself see how you feel before you say anything or commit to anything. So something that's been sticking you, like something from the past, a failed relationship, something that you couldn't make work, that you've just been thinking to yourself, like, why? What was it about that thing that made it so impossible for me? Why couldn't I do it? What made me fail in that scenario? And interestingly, that person or that time period or that time that you feel like you wasted where you were supposed to be doing something else, you're ready for the guilt around that to end. You're ready to stop beating yourself up for what you didn't get done. And it may come back around in a way that's very healing. So, for example, if there was something that you sacrificed so you could be with that person, that thing comes back around, that opportunity comes back around. For those of you who are still romanticizing this person, that's like an open wound for you, they may come back around. And then you realize for sure that they're an open wound or that they cause wounds, create wounds. Money is good. Money is better in that last week of August where you have a kind of surprise bump up in your professional life. It could be a big event. It could be somebody older than you, somebody who's more successful acknowledging you. It could be associating with people who are just really good for business because you're in the right place at the right time. But money is great towards the end of the month. This is really a Mercury retrograde reading. The cards will be for Mercury retrograde as well, but we're looking into September's astrology and how you feel when you're coming out of the retrograde on the 15th. So there are some deep feelings of lack and abandonment. And this is the time when you are being asked to own your feelings. The mix between Mercury being retrograde, Jupiter being retrograde, Uranus being retrograde, and Venus retrograde ending. So you having that understanding, then moving forward into these other retrogrades is very profound. And I think at the end of the end, or the root of the root, when you get there, you'll find that you're afraid of being left behind. You're afraid that you won't be loved enough, valued enough to be taken with by whomever, whatever, whatever you belong to, whatever you want to be a part of, whatever you hope you're a part of. And so it becomes this larger question of safety and community, and safety within your circle, and how you really feel about your circle, how you really feel about your ability to choose people. Although you are very good at choosing people, of late there have been a few instances that have made you wonder. So in essence, that Mercury retrograde, kicking up of those feelings of lack and abandonment. Of course, this happens to us every so often, but I think the reason it's happening to you now is because there is very little left. It's like scraping the bottom of the barrel. There is so much of this work that you've already done, but there's always that deep-seated, core root issue. And fortunately or unfortunately, I think we're there. It's no longer masking itself as a romantic interest or a job you wish you could get, or some status socially that you wish you could have. You've accomplished those things. And so when you accomplish things that you swear are the reason that you feel the lack, and then the lack doesn't go away, it leads you on this journey of inner work where you go deeper and deeper and deeper, because the things that are supposed to mollify you don't. And so you keep asking the question, what will make me feel better, and what is actually wrong? And so with this bevy of retrogrades going on, of course you're asking yourself, what's the real deal? What's the feeling? Where does this sense of lack come from? Where does this fear of abandonment come from? And what will actually help? What do I need to do to convince my mind, convince my body that I'm okay? I think the first step to this is acknowledging your feelings and owning them. There's really no way to tackle this or to begin to heal it without first acknowledging that, yes, this is a vulnerability, and it's a huge vulnerability, and it's here, and you have it, and it's right, dead in your center. And that's okay. But until then, until the retrograde is over, from now until September 15th, there is such a push in you to want to understand, but you also need time to yourself. You need time to process Venus retrograde ending. You need time to process Mercury going direct. And people are dropping their little hints about how much they need you and how much they rely on you. And I don't know, it's for some reason it's extremely irksome right now. You don't feel like being the one to solve their very easily solvable problems. It just seems like a waste of your precious time, and that gets you thinking. So Jupiter retrograde is also going to be a time for you to revise your intimacy, right? Like your approach to intimacy. Intimacy is easier, and it's not just about couplehood. Intimacy between you and your friends, intimacy between you and your business partners, intimacy between you and your own ideas, you and your wardrobe. Things just get easier. Connecting gets easier. Good? Okay. Let's shuffle. Let's take a look at these cards. Love you. Hi, Taurus. Welcome to your look at the cards. Okay, so this Venus retrograde ending on the 3rd, and these 10-12 days of Mercury retrograde that you get, it is such a heavy combination, and you have so much to think about in terms of relationships, but also money, but also finally getting out from under a wounding that really didn't make sense for a long time, perhaps even became a bit of an identity. You see everything so clearly. And the High Priestess says, hey, there's no reason to rush to any judgment. There's no need for urgency. There's no need to do anything with what you know. Okay? The beauty of these retrogrades is that they are bringing up everything to fill you with the feelings that you need to understand how best to be in a loving relationship and have healthy connections, interpersonal relationships moving forward. Nothing needs to be done except to observe and feel and work on raising our self-esteem and doing things that make us feel powerful, make us feel connected. For some of us, we are reminded of an authority figure, because the way we will feel proud of ourselves right now, it's as if an authority figure, our ancestors, a professor, a job, a boss at work, somebody's praising us, somebody's filling us up, making us feel powerful, making us feel worthy, praising us, affirming us. For some of us, this is a romantic connection that continues to nourish us and ground us in a way that's really positive, makes us feel secure and, like the earth is not going to shake. And that in turn makes us feel really driven and ambitious and money-minded. When our roots are strong, we reach for the stars. And Taurus is having an incredible run of feeling grounded. I think because the retrograde also shows you that it's not all doom and gloom. It's also showing you that you have real friends and real connections and real colleagues that care deeply for you and have a lot of respect for what you do. You feel me? I'm so sorry. It's important to take in that acknowledgement, and feel your feelings and be grateful for how, again, grounded you feel. This fixed energy, you need it. The way your self-esteem is building on itself, you need it. And it's so positive. And regardless of how confused you've been over the past few weeks, it's because the retrograde is pushing and pulling you, trying to show you in one way or another that no matter how much you love your connections, you yourself are the prize. You are incredible. You are the one who needs to be put first. Everything else needs to come second. And sometimes the universe shows you that by putting everything second, by pushing everything away. So if you felt like you just did not care about anything and anyone, it's because you really needed this time to feel how you feel. And there's nothing anybody can tell you, and what you need to do is feel your feelings. The High Priestess is already telling you, actually, there's nothing to tell you even now. You just gotta watch. You gotta observe. You gotta let your failures that pulled at your self-esteem become your wins that spiral you up, because that's the time we're in. For some of you, it was like this deep-seated fear that you'd never be in a relationship, and now you're in a beautiful relationship, alhamdulillah. For some of you, it was, I'm afraid I'll never get over that huge loss, and then here you are thriving. For some of you, it was really being worried that you wouldn't find that financial security and that you wouldn't find your footing in doing something that you truly love, and yet here we are, and you're doing just that. This retrograde may mess with your head a little bit, okay, but it's here to show you how beneficial your choices have been, how grown up your choices have been, how you have shown up for yourself again and again, how you haven't relied on others. I mean, look how far we've come. There was a time where we were doing readings back to back of the pain of people not showing up for us, the pain of always having to be the workhorse, the pain of having to carry everybody else's burden and nobody is there when we are burdened. That is not you anymore. You have spent the past few weeks, sure, in your head, absolutely, no question there, but in your head in a way that you deserve. You deserve to think about yourself and think about your connections and think about your feelings and put yourself first and put your feelings first and not, cater to anybody else, pander to anybody else. You deserve that. There is nothing weird about that. And it's a testament to your evolution and growth that you can, and that you believe that you can do it. And so this period, if you have felt that little bit of like nostalgic guilt, a tinge of the old Taurus, that's okay. You have kept your focus. You have kept your priorities straight by focusing on yourself, even when others have been, moaning at you. And now on the 3rd, when the Venus retrograde ends, you begin to care again, you begin to connect again, and perhaps, with some zeal, and the world is yours. The world is open to you. Now, of course, there are some people who are quite upset that you've been gone, that you've been perhaps shirking your responsibilities, perhaps not answering their texts, perhaps you've dropped the ball in some ways. Hey, I'm a Vedic Taurus, I'm right there with you, dropping balls. But they don't know the extent of what you've been through with this retrograde. They don't know how it's pulled on you. They don't know mentally what it's taken out of you, but there was no way to help you through it. You just have to go with the push and pull of this. It's your ruling planet. It's going to drag you through the mud in ways that we can't even begin to imagine. But when you come out of it, you're ready to fight. You're ready to put people in the space that you were in for a few months if they're not careful. But we'll talk about that in Rapid Fire Tarot. We'll talk about this Leo for sure, but also this Capricorn, and go through from Aries to Pisces and figure out how your energy meshes with each one of these people, these energies. Okay? Love you. I'll see you in the extended in just a bit.